Hey everybody, happy Sunday, happy Sunday. So I am going to jump on real quick just to make sure I'm live in case no one joins us this Sunday. I know last Sunday I didn't jump on here, so I want to say happy Resurrection Day, happy Easter, whatever you guys may say for this day. And like I said, I'm gonna check real quick just to make sure I'm live on my end in case nobody joins today, because I know people are spending time with family and everything. So just want to make sure. Yep. Nobody joins. All right. So I am live. So this will make sure it stays on the channel. You guys can see it. Oh, okay. We are live. So happy Easter. Happy Easter to my dad. Happy Easter, David. How you doing today? So I appreciate you guys joining me on this Easter Sunday. You could be anywhere, but you are joining, so I appreciate it. So I just want to, before I kind of jump in, I wanted to kind of talk a little bit about last Sunday. I was missing because I'm currently helping a client. She is trying to sell her townhome down here in Georgia. So if you know anyone that's trying to relocate to Georgia, the Atlanta metropolitan area of Smyrna, the city of Smyrna, sorry, Mableton, please reach out, let me know. And then also, I kind of wanted to jump in a little bit before we kind of start in regards to some interesting stuff happening in the market, but we'll I guess we'll shift into that later on. But let's kind of talk about this whole Zillow situation. If you guys don't know, Zillow has implemented a new policy that's going to go into effect in May around the clear cooperation agreement that they put in effect with the NAR not recent, last year, that the lawsuit against the National Association of Realtors. And we're going to dig into it a little bit and kind of see what they're talking about. This could possibly hurt for sell by owners, this new type of rule that they're putting in place with Zillow. This could also possibly hurt anyone who's trying to create like a pocket listing or different things like that. Or, so let's see. I think this one is it. Let me see. Is this the one that we want to share? I gotta make sure I'm sharing the right one. Okay. So yeah, so we'll do this one first. I think this is the right one. No, this is not the right one. Sorry about that, y'all. Let's stop this one. I'm like you. I disappeared for for a week, and I'm like, wait, what am I doing? Sorry about that, you guys. Let me make sure I pick up the right one first in regards to this whole new Zillow situation. Because I got a lot of emails open. Well, not emails, but things. Let's start with this one. Then we'll start with this one right here. I'll make it big enough. Remember, if you are watching this on the replay, don't forget to let us know where you're tuning in from. Hey, what's going on, Lang? Happy Easter as well to everyone. Happy Easter. Thank you for joining as well. So if you guys are watching this on replay, don't forget to let us know where you're tuning in from. How did you get over to the channel? And please don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell to know when we go live over here. This is a community of people that just wants to know what's happening in the real estate market, or they might want to see some housing tours, or might want to get more information about the Metro Atlanta area, and get some insight of what's happening in the real estate market. We need to be abreast on what's going on, especially if you guys are looking to buy or sell a house. You need to understand what you're doing to be able to effectively, pull it off per se, and be able to make sure you're putting yourself in a good spot or position, right? All right, so this right here is talking about Zillow. So if you guys don't know, it says an update on Zillow's new multiple listing access standards. So Zillow is creating a new situation in regards to listings placed on Zillow, and we're going to read a little bit into it. And so this particular lady right here, she is a partner. I believe I don't know if she's she stands somewhere in Zillow, but all this is what she's kind of saying in this video. So we'll read through it. It says, at Zillow, we aim to make home buying, selling, and renting easier for everyone by ensuring all listings are accessible without barriers or bias. That's why we've established Zillow's listing access standards, which outline how Zillow is implementing the NAR, which is the National Association of Realtors Clear Cooperation Policy, on our platform. At the core of these standards is one simple principle. A listing publicly marketed to any buyer should be marketed to every buyer. And so we're going to dive into a little bit more. It says this means when a listing is publicly marketed to consumers, whether through a sign in the yard, an Instagram post, or on a brokerage website behind the lure of exclusive inventory behind a consumer login, it must be submitted to the multiple listing service within 1 day and published on Zillow and other sites that receive listing feeds. This is consistent with NAR's clear cooperation policy and reflects our belief in fair access for all. These standards take effect on Zillow and Trulia May 2025. So if you guys don't know, Zillow also owns Trulia. So if you are utilizing Trulia's website and all that stuff, they also own Trulia as well. Hey, what's going on, Sam? Waiting all day for Clark to go live. Well, I appreciate it, Sam. I appreciate it. Thank you, Dave, for having your I think you said this was your son, for having your son join over here on this channel as well. I appreciate you guys, and happy Easter or happy Resurrection Day. Resurrection Day, sorry. For many of you, nothing changes. You, like us, are committed to doing the right thing for sellers and buyers in the market and are already marketing your listings to the widest audience of buyers by putting them into the MLS. And then it says the problem with selective access. It says listings shouldn't be used to control who participates in the home buying process. Selectively sharing listings creates confusion, harms consumers, and erodes trust. If a seller needs to keep their listing private for specific reasons, there's a path in the MLS for these cases. But publicly marketed listings should be accessible to everyone to ensure a level playing field for consumers and for agents. And so I would stop right there in regards to the whole selective situation, right? Hey, what's going on? What's going on, Angela? I appreciate you joining as well. Happy Easter to you as well. I missed you guys last week too. Like I said earlier, I had a client and we had a conversation virtually at 6 o'clock, and it kind of spilled over. So I didn't want to rush off of working and helping with the client. So I just decided to cancel, the live. And I appreciate you guys joining me on Sunday and kind of coming back around. I appreciate everyone. Lang said, wow, great to know Trulia and Zillow. Yes, so Zillow bought Trulia and they own Trulia as well. And so basically the part where it says the problem with selective access, and so I don't know, and I'm pretty sure if most people know this, there are some people who do not want their listings publicly marketed on certain platforms like the Zillows, the Trulias, and all that stuff, because maybe they're high profile, like a celebrity or a high profile figure, and they're like, I don't want people to know or to have access to see certain things. Like there's a lot of celebrities that put their houses in LLCs or trusts, and just regular everyday people as well put their houses in certain entities and trying to hide it in certain ways where you can't figure out that is dumb. So I know this kind of goes beyond what they're saying here, but to create that exclusivity or to create also that method where everyone cannot see it as a consumer, we have to allow for some privacy in there, because like I said, there could be a high public figure that doesn't want that to be kind of put out there to the world. And I know they stated that it could still be on the MLS and marketed differently. But the thing about the MLS is that if you guys don't know, and I'll pull it up real quick and then we'll go back to this. In 2000 and let me see, was it 2008? Okay, so let's go to do a little history of Zillow real quick. And I know you guys are probably like, Devon, I already know this, but let's pull it up real quick as far as Zillow, when Zillow came into effect. So Zillow came into effect, and let me see. Let me make sure I pull the right one up right here. So I just did a quick Google search, and so we don't have to read the whole article. But it says right here, in 2006, Zillow came into effect. So in 2006, it says Burton and co-founder Lloyd Frank, I guess that's how you say his name, a former Expedia executive, self-funded the company, which operated out of a downtown Seattle office with 20 employees. Zillow's website was launched on February 8th, 2006, and included a home evaluation tool that anyone could use. And so when I heard a little bit about one of the CEOs talking of as far as how they and why they kind of started Zillow, he was stating that he was in the process of buying his own house. And when he was buying his own house, oh, did I freeze on my end? I just froze. Hopefully I didn't freeze on your end. So when I watched this particular interview, and I watched it a while back, so I can't find where it was at. I was trying to find it on YouTube real quick to kind of bring it up. But basically, he was just saying that how he was in the process of buying his own house. And when he was buying his own house, at the time, there was no actual like online um, platform per se to kind of evaluate all the properties in the area. So before Zillow came about and realtors that kind of was handling real estate prior to Zillow. So I'm pretty sure David, he might remember this as well. Prior to Zillow coming in effect, you would drive around the neighborhood and you would just see random signs, and well, not random. You would see signs in people's yards as far as them selling their property. And the MLS was a system in which the agents had, it was like their own back channel system in which they had. And then also they prior to that, they would also get like books. They would down here in Georgia, they would get books that would be shipped to the office. And then that way they could actually go through the books and see what agents had properties listed. And then they would be able to kind of call that agent, or they might have to like hunt the agent down. Like I know some agents was like, I remember back in the day, I had to run, and if if one of my clients saw a house and we would see the sign, and if I could, I would run and try to hunt the agent down, in order to be able to get access to the property. And then Zillow came about in the sense of the one of the owners wanting to know, like, well, am I paying the right amount? Am I paying the market value for this house? And they wanted to create like this whole data platform per se, right? It's an algorithm data platform that's catching every piece of information in the area to gather specific data in regards to what the houses are going for, so you can kind of see the comparable prices. And then they have this whole thing of estimating. I don't believe in his estimates. Sorry, you guys. I know you might want to beat me up, but I don't believe in estimates because with Zillow, they're not going inside your house. They're just aggregating all the data, all the stuff that's selling in that area, and they're putting together a medium price or a estimate per se of how much your property could be worth. But they're not seeing that maybe in this part of the city or whatever, houses are selling for less over here, and in this part of the city, the houses are selling for $1 million over here, because every city has a side in which stuff sells at a certain price point, a side at which things sell at another price point. And what they're doing is like it's kind of aggregating every piece of data to create a certain price point. So Sam said, I didn't know Zillow started that long ago. Yes, Zillow started in 2006. Was it 2006? Yes, they started in 2006 and kind of launched their website. They said, if you don't want your house exposed on Zillow, and if you are just a regular person, can you tell them not to do it? Well, if you don't go through, well, what they're doing right now is that if you don't go through the MLS, which is the multiple listing service, they will not showcase your listing on Zillow. Most people, so this is gonna, and I was gonna kind of talk about this too. So if you're a for sale by owner, which we call FSBO for sale, sorry, FSBO, for sale by owner, what'll happen is that typically it's a lot of people that say, I don't want to work with realtors no more. I don't want to work with real estate agents, because there's a difference between a realtor and real estate agents. And people probably don't know that either. As far as to be a realtor, you have to join a part of an association, and you have a whole different code of ethics as a realtor. And then you have real estate agents where your brokerage might not require you to join an association. So needless to say, this will possibly hurt the for sale by owner people, that they're like, I feel like I've been screwed by realtors or real estate agents. I don't want to pay them no compensation. I'm going to do it myself. I've bought several houses, and I can do it myself. And so what they do is they go to these third-party websites per se, Zillow. And like I said, Zillow owns Trulia. And they might go to homes.com. They might go to all these different websites, and they might put their listing on these websites in order for exposure, so they can be able to sell their house themselves, as far as like self-marketing, whether social media platforms or whatever. But what Zillow is saying now, and this can kind of mess them up, is that they're like, if you're not a part of an MLS, we're not going to be able to actually showcase your listing, or we're going to hide it from people seeing it on the feed. So typically you can see the for sale by owners on the feed, but now they're going to hide that. So it'll hide on Zillow, it'll hide on Trulia, unless you're a part of an MLS. So yeah, it's going to be very interesting. Sam said, I remember that the grocery store would have little booklets about houses for sale. Exactly. So they would have the booklets about houses for sale. I remember that too, Sam. And you would go to the grocery store, pick up the little booklets, and they would have the different houses around. Um, I don't see that no more, but I might be wrong. But where I live, I don't see those. Lang said, great question. Hey, what's going on, Kevin? Kevin Jefferson, the People's Lender. Hey, what's going on? Thanks for joining us tonight. And then David said, good evening, Kevin. Yep. So yeah, and if you guys, if you haven't yet, please go over to Kevin Jefferson's channel, The People's Lender on YouTube. Subscribe to his channel. Wonderful lender with valuable information. And also swing over to Living in Omaha with David Matney. If you are in the Nebraska area, or if you, in general you just want to learn about real estate, he has some wonderful lives. I'm trying to be like David as far as bringing more people on and talk about different topics. Last week he had a property manager on. Prior to that, he had like insurance person on. He had several different people on, and it's wonderful information. And this coming Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern time, if you're on the East Coast, he's having someone on. It looks like they're talking about the Arizona market. So definitely swing over there and watch his live, so you guys will not be disappointed. And always, join in the conversation. So yeah, so that's going to be very interesting. And then as far as Zillow, they started partnering with MLSs. So I'm gonna show you. So they did their first partnership with the MLS Zillow in 2000 and was it 2008, I believe. Let me see. So I'm not gonna so that, like I said, I don't want to read through everything on this stuff, and then every website is charging you for to subscribe, and I'm not paying $199 a year right now for Inman. So if somebody want to give me the Inman, I'll be greatly appreciative, but I'm not paying no 199. But anyway, so right here where it says Zillow, it says Zillow lands first MLS deal in New England. The MLS to begin feeding property information to the national site by Inman, and that was of March 19, 2008. So around that time, Zillow landed their first MLS deal. And what they do, they basically are aggregating our data from the MLSs that agents have, where we put the houses in, the system as far as sellers want to list. We put their information in there. And like I said, there used to be like a back channel for the agents. But now Zillow created partnerships, and they're aggregating our information. There's with the IDX platforms per se, with their technology, I should say, with the IDX technology, they're aggregating our information and they're outsourcing it to third-party platforms. And the MLS struck a deal with Zillow to do so. So I'm pretty sure, and I know they're probably gonna be like, I don't, whoever has more information, put in the comments whether you're watching today or you're watching on the replay. I'm pretty sure there's a kickback going on somewhere. There's some type of deal happening. There's some type of money being split. And I know that the MLSs do pay Zillow for sure. And I also know that the MLSs do pay actually they pay the brokerages as well. And well, I know I'm gonna say ours down here does, because a broker in our office, he's been in real estate for a long time, since 1980s. And he was saying, now he had his brokerages as well, had brokerages around the town down here. And every month, according to, he had a nice amount of agents, and every month they would kick him out a check, the MLS, a nice couple $1,000s worth of check. It was more than $10,000. So there's a lot of money being spread throughout. There's a lot of kickbacks being spread throughout. And I say kickbacks, they might say something else. They might say, oh, it's a partnership and this is what we do to do so. To me, it's a kickback. So in 2008, they kind of were in that arena of striking that first deal with the MLS in New England. And then from there, Zillow struck more deals in 2015 with more MLSs. And we'll talk about that real quick. And I know you guys like, well, why are we going on this whole history of what's going on in MLS? I just want to, if I'm pretty sure you guys might already know this, but if you don't, I just want you guys to kind of, know what happened in regards to the Zillow, MLSs, how things are kind of moving. Let me make sure I'm giving you guys the next one where we kind of talk about where they kind of bring that up. Do I have that on here? I might have not put it on here. I might have took it off my thing. Sorry about this, you guys. Oh shoot, I just deleted one of the articles. I think that's what I did with the other one. But nonetheless, I don't have that article. I must have deleted it. I actually was pressing buttons on my screen. I started deleting stuff. But anyway, in 2015, they struck about 50. Zillow struck 50 more deals with some more MLSs, and they kept striking these deals with the MLSs. He said, people information is money. Yes, people's information is definitely money. And we see that a lot as far as people sign up to, apps or subscribing to platforms or anything. It's a data thing and they aggregate our data. And it's money. You get access to these people. You get their emails. You get their phone numbers. You get their addresses. So you're sending things in the mail. You're giving them calls on the phone. You're texting them now. You're emailing them. I get a bunch of calls, a bunch of texts. And I can't say nothing either as a real estate agent, as a realtor. I do call people too for cold calling. So shame on me, but I do that as well. So I do have, we use people's information as well to do so, just to check on to see, if they have any questions about real estate. So let's head back to the article real quick about the Zillow and the MLS. So, and then we'll talk about homes.com. They're saying that they're not going to do the same thing Zillow's doing. They're going to allow you to still be able to publish on the website and everybody be able to see it. And they're not going to limit the visibility just because you're not on MLS. And Zillow says like consumers shouldn't wonder if their perfect home is hidden behind a velvet rope. So this kind of talks about more agents shouldn't have to jump through hoops to show their buyers all available homes. When consumers and agents have equitable, did I say that right? I'm trying to make sure I'm saying this right. Timely access to real estate information, it supports and protects a more open and competitive housing market. So they kind of talk about more about that, the consumer, the power of the consumer. And so that's that part of the article. And then let's kind of run over to, let me see. I want to jump over to buyers to this Redfin article real quick. And it's like the same information, but we're going to dive into that a little bit more. So yeah, so if you guys don't know Zillow, like I said, they have partnerships with the MLS, and in turn what they do now, what they're doing now, and what a lot of agents and brokerages are doing, and even some agents, they're creating teams. Brokerages have also they're buying basically quote unquote leads from Zillow. So basically, as agents, we're putting our information into the MLS. You as the seller are saying, hey, come over, help me list my house, put it in the MLS for maximum exposure. And then when we put it in MLS, Zillow is snatching our data in regards to partnership with the MLSs. They're putting it on their website. And then now the brokerages and the agents are paying Zillow monthly fees, annually fees, whatever they're paying. And then now they're getting the data and putting their face on the Zillow platforms to be the agent that you're contacting per se, and not actually the listing agent. So they'll put like the listing agent information below the listing, really tiny, and then on the side it'll be like another agent. So like all these platforms, Zillow, Redfin, all these third-party platforms, they do that where people are paying. Realtor.com, they're paying to have placement on these websites. So basically, as an agent, we're putting your information in the system, and then we're paying to get it back in order to get quote unquote leads to for buyers that are interested in the house. So at the moment, I don't do that. I don't pay for any leads, but that's what was kind of happening. David said, all of these hitting our exclusive listings will disappear and agents will be begging for showings when the market gets tougher. I agree. I agree, David. I agree that all the hidden and the exclusive listings will disappear and agents will be begging for showings when the market gets tougher. It's gonna, like, we're already heading. Well, I don't know about you, but down here in the Sun Belt states, in Georgia, since I'm in Georgia, we're already heading. We're in a tough market. I know a lot of the agents down here continuously are telling these home buyers and everybody like, oh, the market's great. The market's great. I don't know what people are looking at. I don't know what the data they're looking at. I don't know. I don't know what they're looking at. I look at the MLS every day. I stay updated, whether I'm reading articles, reading things. And again, we can't always say what we read is always true. We can't always say what we hear is always true. But what I can say is what I'm seeing in my personal MLS, I'm seeing a decline of home prices as far as sellers having to soften or adjust their prices. I'm seeing houses sitting longer. And I know people are like, well, why is my house sitting 60 days, 90 days? Typically, in a balanced real estate market or a more healthier market, real estate does sit longer. It's not as quick as we saw in the pandemic where you put a house on the market, it goes in 2 to 3 days, 30 ask, offers, all that stuff or whatever. However, because of the shifting situation, what I'm seeing a lot of stuff happening, and especially down here in Georgia, and I'm pretty sure maybe other Sunbelt states, that a lot of these corporate investors, they jumped into the market, right? They jumped into the market. They came in really around the great financial crash, which happened in 2007, 2008, when a lot of these homeowners had the subprime loans, or they were gifted properties per se. I don't want to say gifted, but they were kind of handed properties without actually checking about the job situations and understanding if they qualify for such loans. And then from there, when that whole foreclosure situation happened, the short sales happened. A lot of these investors and a lot of these banks, because they had so much, so many homes on their books, they started selling to corporations, and all these investors, they started coming in buying single family residential homes. And then from there, it started to shift where they saw that they were making a lot of money instead of doing, commercial property. They was like, oh, we can do residential single family homes. People are willing to rent from us in single family homes. And it started becoming a thing of them buying, these corporations buying these homes. And then from there, when the pandemic happened, and I'm gonna stick to this, and everybody keeps, everybody has their own opinion, but I'm stick to this. I feel like the corporations kind of exacerbated how much homes started going for in the COVID times. As far as like these corporate investors came in, they started buying with cash offers over asking price from maybe a regular home occupier, whether FHA loan person, a conventional person, a USDA person, or VA person. You had a lot of these corporate companies coming in paying cash. Like and then they started all these divisions, Open Doors, Zillow started all Redfin. They started all these divisions buying houses and over asking the price, or inflating prices just to get the houses and flipping them and doing this and renting them out. That it created a mass wave that it now has us in a situation where we're in now. Every state is not the same. I do know in certain states from talking to other realtors that there is things happening, but in the Sunbelt state in Georgia, there is some depreciation happening. And I know people don't want me to say that, but I'm an honest person. I'm going to be real. There's depreciation happening down here, just because of all that happening. But anyway, before I go on a tangent with that, because y'all like, are we talking about Zillow Devon, or are we having a tangent talk here? Going on having a TED talk. It says buyers should see all that the listings, sellers should control how their listings appears online. It said, because we believe we are kind of read all that already. I think this was Glenn. So Glenn Kelman, the CEO of Redfin, this is what he was saying. He said, because we believe that all buyers should be able to see all listings, redfin.com, which you guys know recently, I believe Redfin recently, let me make sure I get the information right, but I believe they just recently became partners with Zillow. Let me see. I might be wrong, but let me just check real quick because I don't want to give you guys bad information. I said Redfin, Redfin and Zillow. But I believe, and let me know in the comments if by the time you guys might get it before I make sure I'm right. But if David knows that information, or Kevin, let me know. But I believe Redfin and Zillow just recently kind of joined together. Redfin and Zillow. I just want to make sure I'm right because I don't want to give you guys bad information. Yeah, it says Redfin and Zillow are both prominent. No. Yeah, okay. It says Redfin and Zillow partner to make apartment hunting easier. Announced partnership to buy. Yeah, so I think they're together. If I'm wrong, correct me, whether you guys are watching it back or if you're currently live. But I believe Redfin and Zillow are partnering together. But anyway, the CEO of Zillow, I mean Redfin, basically said that as far as Redfin will not publish any listings. So also this will happen on Redfin as well, that have been publicly marketed before, shared with all real estate websites via MLS. So you have that happening on Redfin, you have that happening on Zillow. So these are platforms again that we use currently, that a lot of buyers use, or home sellers might use to advertise. I should say not buyers, but more of home sellers can use to kind of advertise their listings, even if they're for sale by owners. So you will have to have your property in the MLS in order to get maximum visibility. Um, and then let's go. So we're going to jump over to homes. So the homes.com, particular personal homes.com. I'm sorry, you guys. Let me see. I feel like I was I did the stuff and then I took the stuff off, but I'd be accidentally sorry. I'd be accidentally reading stuff and then I'd be hitting stuff off. So I think I accidentally that's the one I exited off of. I'm sorry. But needless to say, the homes.com website, they were basically stating how they are not going to limit that access to you guys. They're going to give allow people who are trying to market their listings, they will allow you to still be able to come on there and still have the same visibility. Um, and they're not going to limit visibility due to Redfin, what Zillow and Redfin are doing. So let's switch over here real quick, and we're going to talk a little bit about this as well. And then let me share this. So this is about this says real estate is facing the worst fair housing crisis since the 60s. So and it says, and this is all about again the transparency of the listings and everything. So this dives a little deeper in a different way, in a different aspect with this whole stuff. And like I said, I feel bad for the for sale by owners, for people that don't want to use a realtor, and they're like, I don't want to use a realtor, and they're going to have a hard time with the marketing aspect of it now if a lot of these websites kind of convert to this. It says real estate is facing the worst fair housing crisis since the 60s. Listings transparency is crucial for both consumers in the industry and NAREP, which I believe is the National Association of Hispanic Real Estate Professionals. I think that's what it says. And that's so crazy because I just met one of the representatives of NAREP. I'm saying it, NAREP. I just met her last week at our brokerage when we had a fair housing panel. And so supports efforts by Zillow, EXP, Redfin to provide access to all this. And so, yes, also EXP is going down a similar route too in regards to supporting it when it comes to like the brokerages and everything like that. So it says recent developments pertaining to an industry policy known as the Clear Cooperation Policy. Let me lay this out right here. I'll put this down. Sorry, so it can speed up my thing. Sorry, you guys. It's just slowing down on my lay bare an alarming truth. The real estate market is increasingly threatened by forces prioritizing self-interest over the principles of fair competition and consumer protection. While the conflict between business and consumer interests is not new, stakes that involve this particular struggle are much higher than usual. It was only a few decades ago when listing information was shared exclusively by word or mouth by a non-infamous listing book, which we were kind of talking about earlier, as far as having a listing book. And like Sam mentioned too, where you can kind of, this is not a listing book per se for realtors, but as a public, general public, we can go into stores and we can see, in the books we can see houses that are currently like listed in the area that was created for marketing purposes. And then agents have their own exclusive like listing book where like I said, down here in Georgia, they would send out these books every month or so, and the agents would kind of flip through it and see what was available. And they weren't flipping on Zillow. They weren't online looking at Zillow, Redfin, Realtor.com, all these platforms now. So this became known as the pocket listings, and then one of the reasons fair housing laws were created. The lack of centralized database where all agents had real-time access to information pertaining to homes for sale in a particular market opened the door to mischief and outright nefarious behavior. Real estate brokers could exclude sharing listing information with brokers that they simply did not like, or who represented buyers they felt were less desirable. And so, yeah, so this was some of the situations that was happening too in regards to like, pocket listings or exclusive listings or hidden listings, as David was saying as well, where some brokerages or some realtors, or maybe they didn't want to work with certain agents. Maybe they felt like the agent's clients weren't desirable. Maybe they felt like these clients should not live in this neighborhood. We don't want to, want these type of people in this neighborhood. So it created a lot of, like they said, nefarious behavior, a lot of mischief. as far as like excluding people or setting people back. And I don't want to say it's redlining because redlining was more of a lender thing, but in the situation, this is almost like steering, like you're steering people away from certain communities. And so they had, one thing I will say, and I always tell people this, and people can believe me or not, I said real estate, from my knowledge, is not a particular industry that is what I say that is regulated. So because it's not a regulated industry, I call a few industries, I call them the run amok industries, just like I call a few states the run amok states. And you can run amok in real estate, and a lot of people can do, and they still do it to this day, especially with the new rules as far as compensation with the MLS, and I've been going through that recently too, where some buyers agents don't want to bring their clients out to see you know sellers' homes and vice versa because they feel like the compensation is not desirable. So now you're getting another determinant, another steering method, in my words, as far as not allowing people to see what they want to see per se, like the buyers. Um, it says the remnants of apocalyptic redlining and race-based zoning policies exist today in the form of substantial home ownership and wealth gaps in America. So they're saying now because of the wealth gaps in America and because of the substantial home ownership difference, that this is another form of like what's happening outside of the situation what Zillow's kind of doing. They're saying that there's other ways in which it's deterring people. And I know I've heard some people even talk about the HOAs, right? And we know the HOAs, some of them are a mess. There might be a need for them as well, but some of them are a mess. But people can kind of be deterred too about HOAs, right? Because if you create this high monthly HOA fee, say the HOA is $800 a month, you know that that's going to keep certain people out of certain communities because they're like, well, we know that this type of person, whether it be economically, they can't afford to live in this community because they can't afford to take on an HOA because we know those payments get added into that monthly mortgage and everything. So and that debt to income ratio, all those type of factors kind of start to compile, and because of that, that could be another way of steering people out of certain communities as well. So there's a lot of different small little things. If you guys, you gotta, really look into stuff a little bit more. And I'm not saying that everything should be a situation in regards to what they say, conspiracy or a form of trying to kick you out of spaces, but there are small little things that do limit access to certain people, right? Um, Real estate is headed toward an exclusionary, sorry, two-tiered system. The fact that major real estate players are actively undermining open access as evidenced by disputes and evolving practices underscores the urgent need for formalizing these principles beyond the scope of any single industry organization or platform. These situations reveal the risk of fragmented marketplace where access to listings can be dictated by factors other than a buyer's qualification, potentially let me make sure I'm saying it, perpetuating, hopefully I'm saying it right, systematic inequities. Sometimes I'll be on a roll with reading y'all, and then sometimes I'm like, oh wait, make sure I'm saying this right. But y'all gonna let me know if I'm saying it wrong anyway. Hey, what's going on, MHOA? He said HOAs keep me from considering new construction. Almost all new construction is in an HOA. Yes, a lot of new construction, especially down here in Georgia, a lot of these new constructions are under HOAs. And I feel like a lot of it is because when the HOAs are brought about, they are now quote unquote taking over certain things in the neighborhood that the city might not want to do. So maybe they're cleaning the sidewalks, or maybe they're cutting the grass of the house, or maybe they're cleaning the streets or doing different things. Or so yeah, but HOAs are getting out of control. I've actually talked to and I think I mentioned this in the last live. I talked to a down here in Georgia, an advocacy, one of our directors of advocacy in the Georgia Realtors committee per se, and she had stated that they have been trying to fight in the state of Georgia. Every state has their own advocacy people, but in the state of Georgia, they've been trying to fight HOAs and they've been going to court with HOAs. However, it's very hard for some reason, which is crazy. It's very hard to win against the HOA, she was stating. And so all the bills that they sent through to the Senate and to Congress per se to try to kind of eliminate or kind of make their roles as far as what they're doing smaller or have less power in certain communities, it keeps getting thrown out. So they're trying to find ways. Like down here, one of the things that some of these HOAs do is that when you in some of these communities, when you close out of a community, they have an HOA closeout letter fee. Like you have to pay a closing fee to get out of the HOA, which is crazy to me. And what they did legally down here is that it shouldn't cost no more than $10 to do so. But what they're doing down here, loophole wise, and a couple of these closing out letters down here with HOA, they're like in the thousands and the hundreds or the thousands of dollars to get out of these HOAs as far as closing out of them. What they've been doing, even though legally it's only supposed to be a $10 amount they can charge, they're like, oh well, to expedite, the letters or to expedite this, we got to charge 250, or we got to do this, the lawyer needs this, we charge another 250. So they're creating loopholes to get around it. So it's a lot, and it's like it's small nuances. That's what I'm telling people, and that's the purpose of like coming on here, doing these lives, having these conversations with everybody, and just putting this information out here so you can start, questioning certain things. And it's okay to question things. I'm not saying you have to be a conspiracy person, but just question stuff. When people say things, research it, question it, ask questions, and just see what's happening underneath of what they're telling you, just to make sure you verify it and vet it correctly. Even with me, like even what I'm saying, you know, go and do some research, ask questions, because some stuff maybe, I could be a little off in some stuff. So I always tell people, always, question everything. I question a lot of stuff, so I think that's why some people be looking at me crazy. This necessities are far more robust and standardized framework than the current MLS rules or the NAR policies currently provide, demanding a new, more encompassing approach and a new name to reflect its broader application and shield it from the whims of industry giants. The current trajectory, if unchecked, will lead to a two-tier system that locks out many buyers and sellers. And say NARAP, believing that fair access to property information is more than a matter of best practices, it is a matter of fair housing. The Hispanic community, like I said, you guys, this is their association. Well, I don't say their, that sounds rude. This is an association for Hispanic people. If you guys don't know, some of my lineage has Hispanic in it. So I don't want to say there because that's a part, we're all a part of each other. So please excuse me and forgive me for that, for saying it that way. The Hispanic community, a driven force in the U.S. homeownership growth, has historically faced discrimination and barriers to accessing housing. The policies promoting what's going on? The policies promoting cooperation and access to help dismantle these barriers by ensuring that all listings are available to all agents and by extension to all buyers. This transparency is crucial for preventing the kind of exclusionary practices that have been disproportionately affected communities of color. Any deviation from this principle is a direct attack on the progress we have made fostering a more equitable housing market. And so they kind of get more into the whole policies with career cooperation. It says, furthermore, fair access to property and information is vital for the health of real estate industry itself, particularly for small businesses and brokerages. A significant portion of NARAP's membership, more than 68%, consists of small business owners, including real estate agents, brokers who rely on equal access to property listings to serve clients effectively. Without such policies, large brokerages could manipulate listing access to their advantage, creating an uneven playing field and disadvantaging smaller brokerages. So they're kind of diving more into the sense of how that could affect smaller brokerages as well. So it's a very interesting thing as far as the take. I don't want to, as far as like just this whole thing around what Zillow's doing. It's supposed to make it better per se in the sense of allowing people to be able to have access to all listings. There's no pocket listings, there's no hitting listings, there's no exclusivity in listings. So you'll see everything. It has to be in the MLS system. And the whole, was it one day before, like after you enter it, it has a day per se, I believe, to get marketed. And then, oh, sorry, you guys. Oh, I'm moving around. Oh. Sorry. And then I don't know how it works with you, David, in Nebraska, or any other agent that might see this live later on, or if they're on tonight. I don't know how it works in the sense of, can a person in your area be able to actually place their listings in the MLS system? So down here in Georgia, you have it where they could Typically, they can't place it in the system like a home seller. However, you do have access to certain systems that allow it to be placed on the MLS. So I don't know if that makes sense, but um, that's how it kind of works down here. So it's like you have the seller has access, but they don't have like actual true access, but they can still have access to do so without an agent. So I don't know how if it works for you down in Nebraska, but or you can also get the seller could also turn around and get a what is it called, like a transaction type of brokerage to list it for them, because I've been seeing that a lot pop up down here in Georgia as well. David said it seems like these two-tiered systems will disappear once something gets hit with a fair housing. Exactly, that's what I think is going to happen. Every like the way in which things are going, it always, if people doesn't don't understand this, is that real estate for years, especially the National Association of Realtors, since they've been in existence, and real estate in general, every year there's been law. There's not every year, but several years in between, whatever. There's always lawsuits popping up because something always happens. Something always causes something. Like this might cause a fair housing situation. I agree with David. Um, and so because of like the two-tier system, because of that, there's always going to be another lawsuit in play. Like that's the reason why, you know, we just had the recent lawsuit as far as the sellers and them not wanting to pay the compensation on the buyer side. But those lawsuits there have been several lawsuits outside of that. There's been lawsuits around not being able to have the marketing as far as the listings and clear cooperation, and then the antitrust. And that's why we have so many of these different things added on. And in the state of Georgia, we have a thing called BRETA. And that's why in the state of Georgia, which some states don't have, we've already been signing buyer brokerage agreements with the new NAR situation. Several states that didn't have a buyer brokerage agreement, they've been implementing that because in Georgia, it was another lawsuit down here that implemented a law called BRETA. So every state is different in regards to real estate. Some states have already been using the buyer brokerage agreements. We've been using them down here. So as far as the changes happening with this new rule with the NAR situation, we're kind of ahead of the game down here in Georgia. We don't All these new changes are not being really affecting the real estate market down here. The only thing that's kind of affecting us more is the compensation part of it, as far as realtors, not being fully transparent when you give them a call, or realtors, not want to bring their clients to see properties because they might say, "Oh, I want 3%. You're only giving 2%, right?" And it's like, okay, well, what you do in real estate is you negotiate, you make sure it makes sense. I'm a person where I'm like, it's about my client. Some people have another agenda when they do real estate. Some agents, some brokerages. I don't know what their agenda is. My agenda is to service people. This is a service industry. Real estate is a service business. I know everybody watches, Selling Sunset, all these wonderful real estate shows showing the beautiful part of real estate, and they're not seeing the A through Z situation. They're seeing a house being sold, how much the house costs, what the possible commission could be, and then you see the people fighting in the next scene. But that's not how real estate goes. And because of that, you have a lot of people that enter the business for a certain thing of like, oh, I want to make so much money. But in order to make money in real estate, you have to truly work and you have to service people correctly. That's the only way, in my opinion, you make money in real estate. Great service, because it's a service industry, and effectively being honest, transparent with everybody you encounter to create the best business practices to hopefully further your real estate career in the service industry. To me, real estate is a service industry that has a lot to do with numbers. That's how I look at it. That's just me. David said, no, for sale by owners can't list on the MLS in our market. Okay. He said, we do have brokers/companies that help for sale by owners and will list on the MLS for a flat fee. Okay. Yes, we have that down here too, those flat fee MLS. So this is where it's going to be tricky, right? With the whole Zillow situation. So because like I know a lot of people that might not want to use real estate people or brokerages or agents per se, they don't want to they want to go, their own way and be able to go straight to Zillow to pay to put it on there for that exposure, even though I don't know if you know this too, Zillow has you have to toggle stuff around. Like I'll show you guys real quick, see how it works. He said, we were late to the game. I like the new changes. I like the new buyer brokerage agreement. Yes, I love the new buyer brokerage agreement. Well, it's not new down here, but I like the whole thing of buyer brokerage agreement. It allows it allows conversation up front. It allows you to give people a great understanding of how our services work. Like I like, as you guys can see, I like talking, so it doesn't hurt me. And I like giving information. You know, she links said great information. No problem, no problem. So I like, you know, at one point in my life, you guys, I don't know if you know this, but I was in the education field. I was in the school system as a substitute teacher, as an assistant teacher. I also started my own side company where I went into, juvenile detention centers and school systems and created programming that way and educating stuff that way. So I like to educate, and then outside of that, prior to all that, if you guys don't know, I used to be in the entertainment industry and I used to do a lot of research and stuff on the back end. And so I'm a very research heavy person. And then I utilize the research to educate, because people need to be educated. And I think sorry, you guys, I'm going on Zillow so I can show you guys real quick. And I think like my sister's dad, my oldest sister's dad, her dad has been in the mortgage industry since I was born, for over 47 plus years. So I'm able to get valuable information from him on the lender side. I have other wonderful lender partners like Kevin Jefferson, and I know he just went live, so I know he kind of left the live tonight because he goes live at 7 o'clock on Sundays. And then other people, as far as I can talk to, I can call when it comes to different things happening in the real estate field. So yeah. But anyway, let me show you guys real quick. I don't know why Zillow has the listings up here. I don't want to put their. I need to figure out a way, because I got to figure out how I'm gonna do this, because I don't want to show you guys the addresses because they're gonna end up messing up my channel. I'm trying to figure out how I'm gonna do this, because they'll literally take the video down. And we had a great conversation tonight, so I don't want them to take the video down for other people to see. I'm trying to see how I can show you how to toggle around it so you can kind of, it's showing these houses. All right, I might have to not show you guys this way because I'm just going to toggle stuff around. Get that out. Dang it. Okay. But anyway, sorry you guys, I can't show you it because the addresses are on here. And I'm not a big channel yet, so I don't want them to flag my channel, you guys. I don't make no money over here, and I don't want to get flagged by providing you guys information. But I'll let you know. So if you go to Zillow.com, right, and you go over to for sale, if you click the for sale button, no wait, let me see. Make sure I'm right. Okay, yeah. So sorry. So if you go over and you click the let me see. Maybe I can test it out real quick and show y'all what I'm doing, because I have this in front of it, and it's kind of blocking the addresses a little bit. So okay, let me know if you guys can see it. It's kind of blocking the addresses a little bit. We're gonna be really really quick so we don't get flagged over here. So if you go click over here where it says more, right, on Zillow, you can do the HOA stuff too, like the max, all that stuff. That you can put that in there, and then if you click show more, oh, they took it off here now. Oh, here, no, it's right here. Sorry. So you just go unclick that, unclick this, unclick that, unclick this, and it'll show you. It's supposed to show you, but now it's showing me EXP, which is not a owner posted thing. But typically, it'll show you all the houses for that an owner is posting themselves. So maybe, well, the owner might be, they could possibly be an agent, a real estate agent. So he said, it's okay. We don't want you to get in trouble. Yeah, I don't want to get in trouble either. Thank you, David. So, but typically you can go to Zillow, click more, then you can uncheck all these listings here. So you can check foreclosures, you can check auctions, foreclosed, pre-foreclosures. If people are doing foreclosures, I tell you guys, go to pre-foreclosures first, because these are people heading towards foreclosure, and maybe you can get them before they hit the auction steps. If they are going that route, because some people call the banks, they modify loans, they do different things, they claim bankruptcy. There's so many ways that people do stuff to save their houses. But you can learn more about this on Ashley Pickens' channel. She is an auctioneer mama, and she will tell you all about wonderful things if you're looking at that market. But anyway, you can click the owner posted ones, and it typically it will show you the properties that are listed for sale by owner, and then you can go through that list and you can see who is the owner. And if you scroll down, you can actually, they'll have their phone number there. Some of them might be Google phone numbers, where they'll go to a Google phone number. Some of them might be their actual phone number. Typically, what I realized though is that every for sale by owner that posts their stuff on Zillow or these third party websites, none of them answer the phone. And I think the reason why is because a lot of agents will call the for sale by owner. It's like, hey, do you need an agent to help you market it in a more um, I guess more broader per se way, or create more exposure. So then you get on where they're like, I'm not answering the phone because it ain't nothing but a bunch of agents calling my phone. So the one more thing we're gonna jump into, you guys, and is we're gonna talk about, and hopefully it doesn't click me off because I think it might do that. Because again, I'm not I don't have a subscription to the Fast Company website, so they might click me off. But I'm going to talk about what Zillow is doing, while they might put an advertisement in front of it. So basically Zillow's prediction, they're turning their prediction down, and they're saying that there's going to be a fall of 1.7% in home prices. So it says turns full-blown housing market bear. Just look at its new forecast. It says Zillow projects the U.S. homes prices will fall 1.7% between March of 2025 and 2026. Last month, Zillow economists still thought prices would rise this year. So now Zillow, see, look what it's doing. Hopefully it doesn't shut me off. It might limit our access here. But it says, once again, Zillow has downgraded its 12-month forecast for national home prices. On Wednesday, Zillow economists published their updated forecast model, projecting that U.S. homes, as measured by Zillow Home Value Index, will fall 1.7% between March 2025 and March 2026. Back in March, Zillow downgraded its 12-month outlook for U.S. home prices to plus 0.08%. In February, Zillow downgraded its 12-month outlook to 1.1%. And at the start of the year in January, Zillow's 12-month national home price forecast was plus 2.9%. So they were saying that year over year, it was going to be 2.2 plus 2.9%, then 1.1% as the months went on, and as they saw how the market was kind of not moving or how it was shifting per se, according to like their data. And now they're saying as of, somebody's texting me now, as of March, they're predicting that it'll be a negative 1.7%. Says the rise in active listings is fueling softer price growth as greater supply provides more options and more bargaining power for buyers, Zillow economists wrote in March. Potential buyers are opting to remain renters for as long as affordability challenges suppress demand for home purchases. Essentially, Zillow thinks strained housing affordability caused by U.S. home prices rises over 40% during the pandemic housing boom and mortgage rates spiking 3 to 6% in 2022 is weighing on price growth. According to Zillow's home price model, the listing site also believes that weakening and softening housing markets across the Sun Belt will weigh on nationally aggregated home prices this year. So again, like I said earlier, I'm a part of the Sun Belt states. You have like Texas, you have Florida, you have different parts of Sun Belt states, and Georgia is a Sun Belt state. And so they kind of go on right here with the metrics down here as far as the housing market, and it's showing you like where you're seeing stuff decrease. So in Austin, negative 4.1%. New Orleans, you got negative 7.6% year over year. And up north, there's still, appreciation. So you have Rochester, New York, 1.8%. Milwaukee, though, which is a Midwest, I believe, state, negative 1.2%. You have Hartford, Connecticut, still plus 0.0. You have Phoenix, Arizona, 1.5. You got California, San Jose. So we're seeing depreciation as far as could possibly happen in a lot of these markets. Among the 300 largest U.S. metropolitan housing markets, Zillow expects the strongest home price appreciation between March 2025 and March 2026 occur in these 10 areas. So they're saying appreciation will occur in these areas: Atlantic City, New Jersey, New York and Kingston, New York, Rochester, New York, Knoxville, Tennessee, Torrington, Connecticut, Bangor, I don't know if I'm saying that right, Maine, Syracuse, New York, Vineland, New Jersey, Concord, New Hampshire, and Norwich, Connecticut. So they're saying that they'll see some appreciation there. He said, lots of matinees in here. I'm out of Texas. Hey, what's going on, Billy? Thank you for joining. So I'm guessing you're also a matinee as well. Thanks for joining, Billy. Thanks for joining. How's Texas treating you? What's going on down there in Texas in that housing market, Billy? It says in the same time frame, Zillow expects the weakest home price appreciation to occur in these 10 areas: They say Uma, Huma, I don't know if I'm saying that, Louisiana, Lake Charles, Louisiana, New Orleans, Lafayette, Shreveport, Alexandria, Louisiana, uh, is it Beaumont, Texas? I don't know if I'm saying it right. Odessa, Texas, Midland, Texas, and Monroe, Louisiana. So a lot of depreciation happening in Louisiana, which is interesting. Um, And it says below is the current year-over-year rate of home price growth looks like single-family homes and condo prices. It says Florida, which we all know, Florida is currently the epic center of housing market weakness right now. So we see a lot of depreciation. So as you guys can see, Zillow has now turned their head around and they're saying because of the data, they're saying that they believe that there will be actually a depreciation year over year. uh, David said, Billy, does the M stand for Matney? Yeah, we want to know. Sam is laughing. We want to know, does it stand for Matney, Billy? I'm like, David, Sam, and you guys, you might have found a cousin or something in Texas. But yeah, because of that, Zillow is predicting a depreciation or decline in the Sun Belt states. Oh, he said yes. Wow, Billy said yes. In the Sun Belt state, and like I said, Georgia is a Sun Belt state, and I've been telling people this again, and I'll go into a little bit of depth as far as what's happening down here, and to be transparent with people, that the certain places, certain areas, there is a depreciation in home ownership. Well, not home ownership, sorry, and home seller prices. Um, and I'm kind of scared, and this is just out of my mouth, and this is my opinion in regards to we could possibly see another form of the GFC, which is the Great Financial Crash in a different sense. And the only reason why I'm saying that, and it's not happening in every state, but I know down here in Georgia and specific markets down here, it's happening as far as these investors buying these properties. These corporate investors bought these homes and these subdivisions or in these neighborhoods, right? And somebody that might have came along in 2021, 2022, 2023, where the market was kind of at the top of its peak as far as home prices. Let's say they bought a house for $400,000, and the investors, bought a house for $400,000, right? And now, because things are not making sense as far as exacerbating home property taxes, because down here in Georgia, and I'm not sure if it's in the same with you as far as in Omaha, Nebraska, David, but in Georgia, as an investor, when you're not occupying a home, you pay a different tax. As a home occupier, you can get a homestead exemption. You can pay a lower amount of taxes. But as an investor, you can't get a homestead exemption down here in Georgia. So you pay, taxes at a different rate or a different level per se, right? And because of that, taxes have gone up. Home insurance has gone up too, due to the disasters happening. They're floating the home insurance. If you're with these big national home insurance companies, they're floating they're splitting up the way in which your bills. So the home insurance is going up too. Even people's car insurance are going up. And because of that, some of these corporate investors like, okay, this is not making sense to us no more. Even if they bought the house in cash, they're like, this is not making sense. We're not seeing that much profit as far as on a monthly situation. Let's start to get out of these subdivisions. Let's go regather. Let's sit down. Let's see where the most people are kind of wanting to rent at. Let's see where we can get better as far as rental prices at, and let's kind of shift that way. So that's what's happening down here in Georgia. So there's some areas in which a lot of these companies are shifting and they're pulling out, and they bought so many homes in these subdivisions. So what's happening now is that if somebody bought for $400,000, these corporate investors are like, well, shoot, we about to sell these houses for 350. And if they own 5 of them in the neighborhood, they're literally stripping people's equity. They're stripping the equity from the homes. So now people who bought for $400,000, and if they were on, say they put 3.5% down per se, they might still be at, I don't know what that would be as far as I'm thinking, what's that? About maybe like $15,000. I don't know. Don't get me wrong. I'm not doing the math right now, but let's say $400,000. Let's just deduct $15,000 from that. That's what 385. So if an investor is selling a house for 350, that equity is gone. It's been stripped. And so what's happening now is that if you turn around and you say, I want to sell my house, because I've been getting, people talking to me, and they've been asking, can you do a comparable analysis of what's happening in the neighborhood I want to possibly sell? They might have bought 2021, 2022, 2023, and they're like, I want to sell, but because the way the market is going and the depreciation happening down here in Georgia, it's hard to sell. And with these investors stripping equity now, you're kind of upside down in the situation, and it's harder to kind of get out that space without, with no equity. So what I'm feeling that's going to happen, and not in the sense of what happened in 2008 and 2007 with the subprime loan situation, now I feel like due to the overpricing and uh, the amount in which people paid at such a high level with the depreciation shifting 100 to 200% in a matter of 2 to 3 years or 75% is so overvalued and people paying over the appraisal gaps. Now you have people trying to get out of it and they can't get out of it. So these higher prices happening from the taxes, property taxes, from the insurance, and all that combined, where it's like maybe they might lose their jobs now. Different situations happening. It's almost going to like kind of complode, or not complode. I don't even think that's the word. It kind of collide and explode per se. And that's why I feel like the next sense of things are going to happen. So I've been telling buyers down here in Georgia, if need be, just wait it out, let stuff kind of settle down, see where we're going, and then make the right move. And if you are going to buy now, just make sure you're buying correctly as far as like understanding the neighborhood, looking at the pattern, seeing the trend, what's happening, what are the prices doing. If you see a lot of investors, pull up the map. If you see a lot of investors that bought in this area, you might not want to kind of be in that area. You might want to be in a different area. Like really do the research now, because I'm telling you guys, I am seeing it happening, and it's happening a lot, especially down here in Georgia, where these corporate investors bought in these spaces and they are stripping people's equity, and you will not be able to get out your house, even if you feel like you got a 2% mortgage or interest rate per se, and you feel like you got, you're paying good stuff, but you want to sell, you don't have no equity. Don't have no equity in some of these spaces. And I don't know how it is with you, David, out in Nebraska, but that's what I'm seeing down here in some counties and cities in Georgia. Mike Jones, what's going on? He said no more corporate real estate investment in single family houses. I agree, Mike. No more corporate real estate investment in single family homes. I agree. I totally agree, because it's messing up the housing market. It's just messing up our housing market. It's messing up future generations as far as owning, home ownership, even mom and pop, small corporate investors. I mean, not corporate investors, even mom and pop investors. Like, we need to allow the average mom and pop investor that wants to invest. We need to allow, the average American that wants to buy a home to be able to do so. But these corporate investors, like, was it Blackstone, BlackRock, all these, they've come in, Zillow at one point. Zillow kind of dismantled their division. Redfin was buying stuff. They kind of dismantled that division. It's like we need to get these iBuyers, which are, the investor buyers, these big corporate investors. We need to get them out of the market. Like we have to get them out of the market. Houses are on the market about a month longer, not as bad as it is on the coast, but historically it ripples inward. I see it going to get worse. Oh wow, okay, so that's what's kind of happening now in Texas. I have a lady I talked to in Texas where she wanted to sell. I think she's in Helene. I don't know if it's Helene. I don't know if I'm saying it right. And to relocate to Georgia. So I don't know if that's going to happen or not, but yeah, it's getting crazy out here, Billy. It's getting crazy. Mike said Zillow estimates are a fraud. Yeah, I'm not a fan of Zillow estimates. I'm not a fan of Zillow estimates, Mike. I'm just not. I tell buyers, I tell home sellers, it's two things that I feel like Zillow should get rid of off their website, and this is just my opinion. I feel like they need to get rid of the Zestimate, and they need to get rid of the mortgage calculator. And the reason why I say they need to get rid of the Zestimate is on the home seller side, because a lot of these home sellers be like, well, Zillow told me this is how much my house is worth. I'm like, well, Zillow cannot come into your house. Zillow is an algorithm, it's a platform in which they're taking the data around you, and there is it's a real estate data platform per se, really. And they're just using an algorithmic method to tell you what your house could possibly be, but they're not actually physically in your house. You might have a hole in your floor. You might have, like dated finishes. You might have a roof, leaks. That's going to devalue your property unless you get it fixed. So I'm not a fan of Zillow's estimates. They are, to me, they're definitely a fraud. I always tell people one of the owners of Zillow had his house online, and that was a big thing that happened. A lot of realtors were kind of talking about it, where he said his house is estimated at this amount, and he sold it for way less than what Zillow's estimate was. So if you're one of the owners of Zillow and you can't even get your own estimate, why would you tell other people that their houses are worth this? And then also, as far as me saying on the buyer side, getting rid of the monthly mortgage estimate, is because it's a lot of things that go into that monthly mortgage estimate they give you online with Zillow. So some buyers will be like, "Hey, Devon, I see that, my mortgage could be this." Like, we'll sit down. I say, "Okay, what we're going to do is we know what what you're approved for. We never want to buy at the top of your pre-approval. So if you're at 350, let's look for stuff at 300 and under." Some people be like, "Well, I can't find what I want at 300 and under." Hey, well, you do what you want to do. I'm just trying to put you in a better, position or a better space as far as, because I know property taxes and insurance typically go up, and if you're in an HOA community, if any special assessments come above or whatever, it's going to go up. So I'm just trying to put you at a better space farther down the line. Of course, I can't help you whatever you do financially once you close on a house, but what I can do is I can set you up for a possible success to get you in a space where you're paying less. That's less of your monthly, your take home amount as far as what you're netting. Because I like to go through the net. I know people typically are doing the gross, but I kind of like to break stuff down. And I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not a lender, but I'm just trying to put people in a great space. So I tell people, I'm like, what Zillow is doing as far as that monthly, the estimate, what they're doing is in so many factors. That estimate is based off of somebody putting 20% down. It's based out of it could be the debt to income ratio, it could be the credit score. It's so many factors that's going into that Zillow estimate as a buyer. So you got to be mindful what you're kind of looking at. David said we tax everyone equally high. So you said Nebraska tax everybody high. Okay. MHOA say regulations are making it very difficult for mom and pop investors. Yes, they are. I agree. I agree. And David said, "Yep, 100%." So yeah. So before I leave, I want to tell you guys a little story about what kind of happened to me. And I'm gonna be really brief because I know you guys are trying to get off of here, and I want to run real quick, get me some to eat before things close on this wonderful Sunday, Resurrection Day, or Happy Easter, however you guys kind of label it. But anyway, so there is a wonderful program out here called within a lot of different credit unions where you as a seller or as a buyer could possibly get money back if you are affiliated with some of these credit unions or banks. Typically it's with veterans. They and I can't say their name on here because I don't want them to try to come after me. But anyway, I was telling my dad and my cousin about this on the phone recently. I had been working and helping a wonderful couple that I met a year and a half ago try to sell a piece of their property. And I kept updating them as far as what was happening, what was going on in the market as far as they bought a condo. They were in a condo building, and the condos down here, some of these condos, they are depreciating in value. They bought in 2021. They were told through their particular realtor professional that it would appreciate and it'd be worth X, Y, and Z. I met them, and they asked me to do a comparable analysis for them. I did so, and I showed them that the building was slowly depreciating, and they were, again, what we were talking about earlier, they were kind of stuck in the space. I would always inform them about what was going on, and they would always send me back wonderful messages. I had great, conversation, praying hands, praying that it would get better, and that's all we could do, right? And so just recently, I'm at one of our office meetings, and we are talking about and trying to advertise and help our sellers in regards to listings that we have on the market to see if any of our fellow colleagues had any possible people that were buying or looking in these areas. And so after I got finished saying the listings that I currently have helping these wonderful sellers, there was another agent in my office, and she mentioned a listing, and I was like, that sounds very familiar. And it happened to so-called be a listing, the couple that I was updating them with in regards to the market. So me as a person, I just need to get, answers to everything in life. So I just text the particular couple and I said, "Hey, just want to make sure you're okay, checking on you, trying to see what's happening," because I know that they had been trying to get out of their condo. And so they came out and told me right away, that they went with their lender, and the lender was offering them this credit, a part of a realty program. And so I just took them back and I said, "I get it. As a seller, it's about you. It's not about me. So you have to do what's best for you." And I totally understand. And they did apologize, But for needless to say, what I'm going to say to any clients, please listen to this. And I know you guys probably don't think like this, because you want to make sure you do what's best for you as far as you purchasing or selling a house. If you are working with an agent, a realtor, real estate agent that has been servicing you to the fullest of their ability, just be mindful and send them a text or give them a call to let them know what your plans are. Every realtor is not a salesperson. Like I'm not a salesperson. Like I'm not trying to sell you all the time. I'm here to educate people to make informative decisions. And if you want to use me, I'm all down to help you. But I'm not here to sell to you because that's not how I do business. Because I don't like people selling to me. So that's not how I do business. But I just ask people, if you're working with wonderful professionals in any field, just be very courteous and kind and considerate, and just make a phone call. Let people know what's going on. Because the way in which I found out was very interesting, and it's no fault to the realtor and my brokerage because they were part of this program. It referred them to the brokerage, and it gave her the client. So like our brokerage has like a deal with some of these companies. And again, I'm not on these teams at my brokerage. I'm not on these referral things or whatever. Literally, all the business that I get by myself, from the hard work that I put in, for the wonderful relationships that I make, and for the service that I do for people. So I just appreciate that common courtesy. And I say, anybody going forward, if you're in the space of doing this and working with a great professional, just give them the common courtesy. All right. I know you guys probably, Devon, why are you telling me about that? I just want to let people know, because I feel like sometimes people don't realize that in real estate, behind the scenes there's a lot going on, and people are working very hard for you. If they're a good professional in the field, they're working very hard and spending countless hours to help you and to make sure you're in the best space as possible. So the common courtesy to just let people know is just the best thing to do. So, but sorry, Billy M. He said, I appreciate the info, came in a little late. I'm trying to get smarter, deployed in Syria, and have been stacking, plan to purchase in the next year. Want to make an educational decision. Thanks again. No problem, Billy. Be very safe in Serbia, if I'm saying it correctly. Safe travels, uh, and make sure you come back safely as well, back to the States. And by that time, you'll have enough great information to be able to put you in the best situation as possible. We appreciate your service. Well, I'm gonna say I appreciate your service. I'm making everybody in the lives part of me, but I appreciate your service. Thank you for serving our country, and I totally appreciate your dedication to us. And please, again, get back home safely. Common courtesy, yes, Lane. Common courtesy, please, guys, common, because like I said, as a good real estate professional, it's a lot of work that happens. So we just ask for common courtesy. But yes, Lang said we appreciate your service, Billy. But nonetheless, you guys, I don't want to go on a tangent about that, about what's happening in regards to the craziness. But I do want to I don't know, maybe I'll try to jump on here every time we have a conversation. Maybe at the end I'll say a little bit of what's happening personally with maybe my part of my profession in real estate. And I'm gonna make sure I kind of keep the client's information concealed, because I don't want to tell their information, and kind of be a little bit of just to make sure they know that I'm not trying to put anyone on blast or be disrespectful. I just want people to know common courtesy. All right. So nonetheless, have a wonderful, wonderful Sunday night, you guys. Happy Resurrection Day or happy Easter, however you kind of put however you kind of state for this particular holiday. And I will see you guys next Sunday. Thank you, David. David said, thanks again, Clark. Have a great weekend. Yes, you too. Have a great week. And if you guys, again, do not forget David Matney, living in Omaha. David Matney, he goes live if you're on the East Coast, because I'm on the East Coast. He goes live at 8 p.m. Eastern time on Tuesdays. He's going to have a wonderful live happening this Tuesday that I'm going to tune into. If you guys are not subscribed to his channel, please go over and subscribe to his channel. Thank you again, Lang, for joining. I appreciate your time. I appreciate, as she said, everyone for participating tonight. We love participation. Thank you, Billy M. Thank you, MH08. Thank you, Mike Jones. Thank you, Sam Matney. Thank you, Lang. Of course, David, thank you. My dad, James, thank you. Kevin, thank you. I know he's live right now, so I'm going to hop off my live and get on his live. Angela, thank you as well. Anybody else who kind of tuned in that may not have commented, We appreciate, or I don't want to say commented, but joined in the conversation, I should say. We appreciate you guys being here, and we will see you next Sunday. All right, have a wonderful, wonderful night. He said the MHOA say, I'll try it. I'll have to try it not being at the supermarket. Yes, don't be at the supermarket when David goes live. MHOA. All right, you guys take care. Have a wonderful Sunday night. Bye-bye.